Where does the work ethic come from?
I don't know. That's actually a really interesting question because I don't think I've ever thought about that, and I don't think I've ever answered that. But I've always been a very stubborn guy growing up, and I always felt like I had so much more that I could achieve. And so I would spend all of my time trying to self-improve, all of my time trying to improve myself, like day in, day out. Because I'm not a naturally gifted person. There are a lot of people who are. There's a lot of fantastic, charismatic individuals who are just like, you can tell. It just clicks. You tell them to tackle a task they've never encountered before, and then they just can do it. I'm not like that. I'm like the ugly duckling, or just uncoordinated and without tact.
Wow, if you believe that, then it must be your work ethic that carries you.
For sure.
And how could you not know where it comes from? Like how the roots of it. Like if your parents are professors, there's a life of discipline and education in there somewhere. No, they were very open-minded when I was growing up. I think they were very they kind of let me do my own thing, and I spent most of my childhood and high school years, almost the entirety of it, drawing. I was obsessed with drawing. I would just draw video game characters and anime, things like that. That's all I did. And it's interesting because I never do that anymore now, because my dad was like, you got to cut this shit out. You're not going to be an artist. What are you doing? You're not going to make any money if you do that. Which is ironic because I think that paired up with my first freshman two-dimensional visual design class made me realize I can't do this. The art stuff is crazy. But would you identify as a creative?
I didn't even think about it like that. That's all I cared about was drawing. Every class, I would just sit there and draw. I wouldn't even listen to what the teacher was saying. I wouldn't take notes. I would just draw nonstop. And I stopped in college. And I draw every now and then, but it's just, I think the creative bones have stayed in me, and it helps with the other things that I do. But it's definitely not there in the forefront as it once was. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because I think I just have an obsessive nature, very stubborn. Some people might say it's autism. I don't know, maybe. But that's what it is. That's there's a constant want inside of me that I have never really examined, where I always want to do more. I always want to be better than who I was the day prior. And that's been the case since I was a kid.
Do you reach your standard? Is it perpetually fulfilling, or are you hard on yourself and not reaching your standard and then pushing yourself to be better the next day, which would then, of course, get in the way of how fulfilling any of that is, or whether that hole actually gets filled?
It depends. I think that a lot of people from the outside would say you're very hard on yourself.
I say it because I can relate, by the way. I say it's been something that I've done for a while that I'm trying to consciously alter, but I'm a lot older than you are. I don't run into a whole lot of successful people who don't have some of that in them and don't sometimes forget to enjoy it while they're having it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm too hard on myself necessarily, because I understand that it takes time. I understand that change requires, hard work is not going to happen overnight. So I feel like that is the reason why I'm not super hard on myself, because I'm very happy with what I've achieved. It's not like I'm I'm such a loser, I need to get better. Whether it be playing basketball and trying to dunk again, right? Or whether it be working out, physical fitness, trying to hit certain PRs, trying to achieve the same physical prowess that I demonstrated when I was 26 at the age of 33, maybe 34 in the future. All of that stuff, I am aware takes a lot to accomplish, and so I take the gains that I make in the short term, and I don't take it for granted. That keeps me very motivated and very happy, so I don't think I'm too harsh on myself.
Were you bullied as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What did that look like?
I mean, Turkish bullying is different. Like, it was pretty violent, you know, pile-ons, just beating the shit out of someone. You know, I also was the rich kid because my family initially was very affluent for Turkey, and my father lost all of his money by the time I got to college. But that's besides the point. But in that process, they took me out of private school in third grade and sent me to public school. And Turkish public schools are, you know, that's. Like the Turkish income inequality is something is very different than even American income inequality. Even though America is now resembling Turkey a little bit, the Gini coefficient. But I would say that wealth disparity was so severe. That means that like someone like myself going to public school in Turkey was almost controversial at the time, at least for middle school, because. Public schools, when you go to high school and college, are the best schools in Turkey because we have a nationalized education system. But in middle school, it was like, I guess, unique. And I had this kid who, followed me home with a knife, and I remember like negotiating with him in the entire, throughout the entire process, and. I just like walking backwards because he didn't know where I lived, and just because I used to walk home from the school and walking, and then luckily because I was so late that my mom was outside already and she was screaming. She didn't even see the kid had a knife, but it was like a somewhat traumatic experience for me. But it was also kind of a funny experience because I guess that was that was a little bit like bullying if you think about it.
I know somebody chasing you home with a knife, that qualifies.
Yeah, I think it's like a little bit extra than bullying, but yeah, the next day the principal in front of the entire school reprimanded him and like pulled his ear and like kind of beat his ass in front of everybody. He was crying and he was forced to apologize to me for almost killing me with a knife and you know, follow me home. But you know, I've had experiences like that. And then also experiences for being like a little different too, for sure, or just being fat, being unathletic, being someone who's interested in nerdy stuff, like interested in American culture rather than the normal stuff that everyone else was interested in. Having said that, I also had normal hobbies as well. I played a lot of Dota, which is a MOBA game. It's the first ever one that was ever created, Defense of the Ancients. That was very popular amongst my classmates, so...
Is it a long period of fear here? Like, what are we talking about? If a child is getting bullied and a child is just eager to fit in, doesn't want to be noticed too much, what are we talking about? Like, how much fear is in your daily life as you're growing up, and how long does it last?
I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know. I wasn't like afraid to go to school or anything. I mean, I didn't like it. I didn't quite like it, but I think that's probably why I dove too much into just like doing art in general. But I did have some close friends. It's a different thing. It's different in Turkey. There's like, they don't have the same cliques in Turkey in high school, or at least they didn't when I went there, or at least the high school I went to didn't have that. But, you know, I was best friends with one of the best basketball players in the school team, right? And he also would draw a lot. So we were just like, we would hang out all the time. We lived close to one another. So it wasn't like, there wasn't like a concept of like cool kids, but I also was getting bullied at the same time by like other random bullies. But they weren't the cool kids, if that makes sense. Like, it's just, it's a weird dynamic. But I just kind of kept to myself for that reason. I just, you know, drew and did what I wanted to do. Kind of like now.
How did you grow out of it, though? Like, when did you start to blossom?
Definitely college, because it gave me an opportunity. I think when I was younger, I would do this every summer break. I was like, I'm going to reinvent myself. Because like there was so much that I desired that I was not achieving. I'm gonna reinvent myself. I'm gonna be cool when I come back from summer break. And then I think college was when I was actually able to do that. That summer I lost a lot of weight, and also I went to Miami, University of Miami, and all of a sudden I was an international student that was coming in with a bunch of other scared international students into this like new environment. So everyone is trying to figure out where they are in this space. And for me, I think that was an opportunity where I was no longer like a weird person that was sticking out, because everyone else was weird. Everyone else coming to college, it's like a totally new, a complete reset. And I think that's when I started growing into my more social personality, for sure.